All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another One Piece chapter reaction and review. We got a real good chapter the last time, showing how like this fire creature was making its way down to the basement that Kanjuro had created. And Yamato's trying to make her way there with what is his name? Jagi? Kuja? I forget this number's name. I forget it. Not only that, but Drake versus Apu is on hold for right now as they both join forces with one another to take on pretty much CP0. And then you have Orochi at the end you have Zoro fighting King, and then all of a sudden you hear the shamisen playing, and then Emma reacts to this, and then it starts robbing Zoro of his haki, and Orochi is hearing this as well, thinking it's a ghost, and he's in the treasure repository right now. But as that's going on, he looks into this room, and who do we find sitting in that room playing the shamisen? No one else except Kozuki Hiyori, just sitting in there. Now, whether she's real or not remains to be seen, but hopefully this chapter will explain it. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I really start, I just want to say I thank every single one of you who tune in to what I do here, because not everyone hears me say this when I'm at the end, because not everyone watches until the end. But I just want to say thank you for every single one of you who tune into my channel and watch what I do. You are not a number to me. You're not just some other name that's been added to my subscriber count. You are a person, and I just want to say, as another person, I appreciate you as an individual for taking the time out to just watch what I do, because none of you owe me anything at all. You don't even owe me your viewership. But the fact that you come here and watch what I do, I am nothing but appreciative for all of the support. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for making this channel amazing and for encouraging me to bring you more and more of what I love to do to you. So thank you. Chapter 1033, Shimotsuki Kozaburo. And then we have a reader request. Hold on, let me scroll back up. Reader request, Tashigi dressed as a bad guy getting defeated by baby penguins. Aw, that's wholesome. And then you see Smoker in the background just chilling. You don't see Tashigi and Smoker all that often in page requests. You really don't. A couple of the baby penguins are messing around and playing with Tashigi, while one is just looking scared at Smoker because, you know, Smoker is intimidating to those who don't know him. So, yeah. It's a wholesome, and also another thing I want to touch a note on is Tashigi is dressed up with like a orca, a black and white orca little headpiece on her head, because you know orcas are the enemies of penguins. So yeah, it's real wholesome because one of the little penguins has like a wooden, like a cardboard sword, and they're beating up on Tashigi, and she's just messing with him. It's wholesome. This is a wholesome reader request right here. All right. Outside the dome, Zoro versus King. And then here's Zoro saying, Enma, who gave you permission to unleash your power? And then Zoro regains his haki back into his arm, and his arm actually regains its size, because, you know, when Enma drains the haki from another person, it pretty much shriveled up their arm. So Zoro gets his arm back. Then King says, you know what? I might as well have my mic in front of me so I'm not screaming as much towards my mic. Then King says, what's wrong? Having an argument? And he zooms in towards Zoro. And he stands in front of Zoro and then stops. He zooms in towards Zoro and then just completely stops. Huh? What do you think you're doing? And then Zoro tries to stab into him, and then King says, jackpot. Huh? And then there's an explosion. Oh, I think I know what this was. King made himself detonate when Zoro stabbed into him, or stabs towards him. Then we cut to the pleasure hall, Left Brain Tower Dome, and there is Sanji still facing off against Queen right now. That was Pirate Hunter on the snail just now, wasn't it? Trust me, he can't be king. And Sanji doesn't say anything. That guy's a remnant of the extinct Lunarians, a monster capable of surviving in any natural environment. In the distant past, his people were known as gods. And then Sanji says, then why would they have died out? You want to know? Go ask a history book. And then he charges up a coffee beam at Sanji. And then it goes right back outside to Zoro. Oh, this is going to be a Zoro versus King chapter, isn't it? I can tell. Because there ain't no way you're going to go from Zoro to Sanji and then go right back to Zoro. This is Zoro's chapter right now. But we're back outside Onigashima. And Zoro's huffing and puffing because he got blown back by whatever happened. And then he's huffing and puffing saying, that was close. I'd be dead if I hadn't put up my armament hockey in time. But how's he still alive? He blew himself up. One sword style. Yai. Death Lion Song. Shisun. And he slashes King in an instant. But King is untouched. And then looks back at King, and King has assumed his Pteranodon form again, and he's pulling his head back with that, he's pulling his head back for that Imperial, deep pride steak attack again. Huh? He's not phased at all? Imperial. But that last one was a way better attack. And then Enma starts reacting again, starts draining Zoro of his hockey again. Yeah, Enma starts draining his hockey out of his arm in the middle of King preparing this attack. Wait, Enma, stop! Deep pride? Not now! Steak! And Zoro just barely manages to... It grazes Zoro, but it causes Zoro to cough up blood. And it pretty much explodes the side of the cliff where King and Zoro are fighting right now. That's how much of a force it actually is. And then King says, a swordsman held back by his own sword. That's a new one. And it shows Zoro falling into the air as he sees Kitetsu falling away from his hands. And then we cut back to when Tengu Maru, I forget his name, Hitetsu, I really do forget this Tengu guy's name. But he's talking to Zoro back when Zoro was training, saying, you already wield Kitetsu number 3. That is one of mine. What? Really? And then it cuts back to Zoro even further earlier on in the story when he went to the sword shop to replace his swords destroyed by Mihawk when they were in Loguetown. The sword's bewitched. Are you a fool? I can't sell you that sword. If you died, it'd be like I killed you myself. And then Zoro says, I'll take it. That's when he just let the sword fall into the air, and if it was really cursed, then it would have chopped off his arm. But it just completely missed his arm completely, and then he took the sword. And then King knocks Zoro back towards the platform, because he was falling in the air at first, but King flies and then knocks him straight back into Onigashima, saying, you're going to die just to save your sword? Then he goes full Pteranodon and flies towards Zoro. And then he's huffing and puffing with Zoro saying, that felt hot. Oh, good. You didn't fall off. Wado Ichimonji. Yeah, because that's Kuina's sword. Oh, we're getting a flashback. We're getting a flashback to Kuina. Oh, good. You didn't fall off. Wado Ichimonji. And then this cuts back to Zoro when he was a kid, towards his sensei saying, Sensei, may I have her sword? I suppose so. I'll have to keep the promise for both of us. I'm going to become such a great master swordsman that my name will be known even in heaven. And then the Tengu dude cuts back to the president in Wano back when he was still training before the whole Onigashima shindig went down. It must be some twist of fate. You see, that white blade Wado Ichimonji and Enma were both crafted by the same man, the blacksmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo. You mean to tell me? Wait. Kuina's sword was made by the same person who created Enma? Bruh. You see, that white blade Wado Ichimonji and Enma were both created by the same man, the blacksmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo. And then he cuts back to Zoro in the present day thinking, it all came so sudden, I wasn't putting it together. Why would there be a famous katana of Wano in some tiny village of the East Blue? Yo! Are we gonna find out? Are we gonna find out how that sword got all the way to Zoro's town? In his childhood? Are we about to find out? Oh! Okay, then we cut back to King using a move called Imperial Slings and Arrows. And he starts slinging projectiles at Zoro. Do you have all 3 swords yet? And then it shows Enma still draining Haki out of Zoro's arm with Zoro screaming out, Enma! Then it shows King using his wing to try and bear down on Zoro, knocking him back inside the castle of Onigashima with that much force. And then, as he's falling, with his arm still emancipated because Enma's draining his Haki out, it cuts back to Momonosuke talking to Zoro, saying,
Zorojiro, I was told not to say Sonachi.
What? It's just something the old guy in my village told me. I've never said it myself before.
What?
And then it shows Zoro huffing and puffing as he thinks back to his past. The old man was always sitting there at the coast. I never knew his name. Is this old man Shimotsuki Kozaburo? It is him, isn't it? The old man was always sitting there at the coast. I never knew his name. It wasn't until the day he died that I learned he was Kuina's grandpa. I'm sorry? Shimotsuki Kozaburo? If this dude is Shimotsuki Kozaburo, does that mean that Kuina is actually Shimotsuki Kuina? Is that what you're talking about? Well, let me read on before I start making assumptions. Let me read on, then we'll talk. It wasn't until the day he died that I learned he was Kuina's grandpa. Then it cuts back to the Tengu dude saying, the blacksmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo. He broke the laws and left this land over 50 years ago. It is him. And he's thinking back to it. 13 years ago, East Blue, Zoro's hometown of Frostmoon, Shimotsuki Village. The whole town that Zoro is from is called Shimotsuki. "13 years ago, East Blue, Zoro's hometown, Frostmoon Village. Also, and Frostmoon means Shimotsuki means Frostmoon, so it's essentially Shimotsuki Village. And it shows Zoro training against Kuina in the past. Yes, Sunachi. It is a magic word that summons strength into your heart.
Well, that sounds weird. I don't need it.
Anyway, old man.
Old man, is it true you used to be a samurai? Everybody at the dojo was saying it.
Well, hush up about it, or the Navy will come and invade the village.
The Navy? Why?
And it shows this dude, old man of the village. But Zoro says,
The Navy? Why?
None of your business, that's why. Get lost.
Sheesh, fine, stubborn old fart.
And then it shows Zoro training with 2 swords back in the past. He didn't get to the point where he was using 3 swords yet. And then old man is looking at him.
Is the dojo boring you?
I lost to Kuina again. I need more practice.
What?
And then it shows Zoro with two real swords in front of him. This dude gave them to him.
What? But I can't pay for these.
I'm giving them to you. Trust me, they're crap. It's the only thing I seem to be able to forge anymore. Use them for practice if you want.
And then he unsheaths one of these swords, saying,
Listen closely. A sword's like a kitchen knife, but for murder. They're created to kill people. And a blacksmith hones his craft so that his weapons are better at killing than any other.
Yikes.
A sword has its own personality. A swordsman must master it and bend it to his will.
And it shows numerous different swords in like this little panel here. And then he continues saying, sorry, my eyebrow was itching.
He says, You think a dangerous sword is cursed? No, that's a sign of great quality. When the weak fear a sword and call it cursed, that is a badge of honor. They should be frightening. They're meant to cause terrible harm. There was one blade I crafted when I was a young man. It was the greatest weapon I ever made. Its disposition was deadly serious. Just holding it in your hand sent a shiver down the spine. So I gave that masterpiece the name of the king who watches over hell.
And then it dawns on Zoro just what he's holding. He remembers from the past that he's talking to the very individual who told him the story. He's talking to the very individual who forged the sword that he's using right now. Sorry, I had to get my words together. And it dawns on Zoro and he thinks,
the king of the underworld, Enma. My village's name for Shimotsuki. Was it not a coincidence after all?
Did you know our village was built by pirates? That's what my grandma said.
The blacksmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo. He broke the laws and left this land over 50 years ago.
So the old man was a samurai of Wano.
The blacksmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo. A great blade can see into you. It chooses only the swordsman who best suits it.
And then he thinks back to the guy in Loketown where he says,
a sword chooses its wielder.
And then as he props himself up, because Enma's embedded into the floor right now, while his arm is still emancipated and covered in haki after holding Enma.
It came to me. It chose me. So it could test me.
Yo, you mean to tell me that just like Shimotsuki Kozaburo said, these types of swords have their own personality. Enma is testing Zoro to see if he's worthy to wield it. I wouldn't be surprised if Oden had to go through the exact same thing. But the reason why Oden was able to wield it is because he mastered Enma. And now Zoro is being put through the test of fighting King for Enma to see that Zoro is worthy to wield it. Yo! This isn't just a fight between one of the big calamities. This is a fight to have this sword acknowledge Zoro as its official master. Love this chapter. Love this chapter. Then he picks up the sword and says, a sword is honest and direct, not wicked. Yes, it's true. It was my strength that was lacking. Does this mean that even with so much haki being drained away, Open wielded you as though... wait a minute. Oden. Oh, why did I say open? Does this mean that even with so much haki being drained away, Oden wielded you as though you were light as a feather, Enma? And then it shows the Beast Pirate saying,
Look, it's the Pirate Hunter!
And there's King!
Let's take him out, sir. Let us take him out, sir. I could really use the promotion.
And then Zoro is thinking to himself, how should I stabilize my haki then? If I had to keep exuding it at this level, it'll kill me. But no, that's perfect. You! And then, oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yo! Zoro! And trying to figure out how to stabilize his haki, he uses conquerors to knock out all the beast pirates that were running up on him. And they all pass out. Zoro just knocked out everybody with conquerors right now. And then King says, I see. So you intend to be a king then? What? And Zoro doesn't know what just happened. Apparently, with Zoro trying to focus his haki, he unconsciously used conquerors and knocked out everyone except himself and everyone except King. But King recognizes the conquerors and says, I see. So you intend to be a king then? What? And then he thinks back to when he first met Luffy, with Luffy saying, the world's greatest swordsman. That's great. And it's fitting since your new boss is going to be the king of the pirates. Anything else would make me look bad. And then Zoro, with a smile on his face, says, that's right. I've got a promise to keep to my captain and my best friend. Yo! And let me just touch on this note right now. He hakis up so much that I don't know if he knows how to, but there's black lightning coming off of his sword as well as an aura off of every single one of his swords. There's an aura coming off of all of his swords and lightning coming off of it as well. We only know lightning to come off of attacks or weapons from Conqueror's Haki users if they are channeling Conqueror's Haki into their blades. So Zoro is currently doing that right now. Even though in this last panel when he says, that's right, I got a promise to keep to my captain and my best friend, it doesn't show his blade to be completely black. So, still though, this was Zoro's chapter. Yo. And that's the end of the chapter. Now we can talk. Orcas aren't just the enemy of penguins, orcas are the enemy. Yeah, they are. So let me just say hi to Destruct, Light, Cohagen, D-Dux, Anime Fellow, good to see you, Ogata-san as well, Neil Johnson, good to see all of you here. This was a good chapter. This was a good chapter. This was a good chapter for Zoro, and to find out that the very village that he came from, read the title of the chapter, I mean, it's Shimotsuki Kozaburo. Am I missing something? Did Zoro unconsciously learn to use Conqueror's coding? That's what I'm thinking, because he doesn't even realize that he just used Conquerors to knock out all the Beast Pirates just now. Because King noticed, and Zoro's all like, what? What are you talking about? Zoro still doesn't know that he actually has Conqueror's Haki. And he can use it unconsciously. He's like when Luffy was using Conqueror's Haki when he was in Marineford, but he didn't even know, nor did he pay attention to it. Zoro is at the state with Conqueror's Haki that Luffy was when he didn't know about it. Yet, he is learning how to use Conqueror's coding on his weapon far quicker than Luffy did. It took Luffy getting hit by these attacks multiple times for him to understand what was going on. And now Zoro is learning how to do that on top of being able to knock out the people around him. Okay? When we see Luffy learn how to use Conqueror's coding, he got hit by this attack multiple times. Zoro hasn't been hit by that attack before, but he's already learning how to channel his Haki into his swords. I don't even think he realizes that he's channeling his own Conqueror's Haki into his swords. Because first of all, he doesn't even know that he has Conquerors. It's just I don't think he's even noticed that he's knocked people out at all. So not only does he have the ability to knock people out with Conquerors now, because Kaido acknowledged that he has Conquerors. He can tell that Zoro has it, but Zoro was oblivious to it. Zoro knocks out everyone around him because he's trying to figure out how to stabilize his own haki, and in the process, he unconsciously uses Conqueror's haki to knock out everyone around him, and then at the same time, as he reiterates his promise that he made to his captain and his best friend, that he also starts channeling Conquerors into his swords. Now, mind you, in the panels where it shows his swords, it doesn't show them being armament hakied up. But he's still channeling Conquerors into his swords. Oh, you told me to look at the colored. Told me to look at the colored pages. Oh wait, let me scroll down. Is it at the bottom? If it's at the bottom. Okay, Shimotsuki Kozaburo. Ooh, there's a lot of gorgeous looking pages there. I did, but it doesn't even show the rest of the chapter. It stops when Zoro says the Lord of the Underworld Enma. It cuts it off. It cuts off the entire rest of the chapter. Also, apparently, Oda literally used his human Wado Ichimonji drawn from the SBS as reference for Kozaburo. Wow, so Kozaburo is based off of what Zoro's swords would have looked like if they were in human form. Usopp, the next conqueror on the Straw Hats. I don't know. He still needs to learn how to use observation haki first. He hasn't fully realized that he can use that. He only unconsciously used that during the whole Dressrosa arc. I don't think he's aware that he has it. So he kind of needs to work on that just a little bit. Just a little bit. This was a good chapter, though. Zoro really coming into his own, wondering why the fact that Enma is not a normal sword and that Kuina's sword, of all swords, were both Enma, a sword hailed as one of the greatest weapons in One Piece, like up there with Murakumo Giri, which is the Naginata that Whitebeard wields, and Yoru, which is the black sword that Mihawk wields. The fact that Enma and Ame no Habakiri are ranked in that same instance. Actually, you know what? Let me do this real quick. Let me make sure that I'm not correctly putting them in the wrong category. One of the 21 great grade swords. Okay, so no. They're great grade swords. They're not in the same rank. Let me correct myself before someone corrects me. They are not in the same league as Yodo, Shodai, Kitetsu, Murakumo Giri, and the Gold D. Rogers sword, Ace. They're not in that one. Those swords are the supreme grade swords. Enma and Ame no Habakiri are the 21 great grade swords. Nidai Kitetsu, Wado Ichimonji, Shusui, Enma, and as I said, Ame no Habakiri are the 21 great grade swords. They're underneath the ranking of Mihawk's sword, Roger's sword, and the Shodai Kitetsu, and Whitebeard's Naginata. The Enma and the rest of them are just underneath that. So they are not the supreme grade swords. They're great grade swords. Are among the highest quality blades in the world, second only to the 12 supreme grade swords. These swords are well known for their incredible power and outstanding balance in strength, sharpness, and durability. In the hands of a capable swordsman, they can even stand up to the supreme grade swords in combat. Hold on, family's calling. Hold on, I gotta check something downstairs and we'll come right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about taking so long. That translation seems more natural to me. Usopp will have Conqueror's Haki, because all his lies tend to come true. Sometimes I like the scans more. I can understand people's liking scans more. I just stopped doing it because I like to be official. That's why I like to stick with the official translation, regardless of whether they sound better or seem written better than the official ones. Maybe Luffy's scabbard is the supreme grade sword because only captains have those. The one he used as a joke. Who knows? But this was a good chapter for Zoro, showing off the fact that Enma is testing Zoro to see if he can truly be the new master of Enma. Because it says here that sword is honest and direct, not wicked. Yes, it's true. It was my strength that was lacking. Does this mean that even with so much haki being drained away, Odin wielded you as though you were light as a feather? So even with Enma draining its user of haki, Odin was able to use it effortlessly. And every time we saw Enma being used by Odin, we never saw it draw any haki out of him. So that means that Odin was able to fully master Enma completely. So now Enma is testing Zoro to see if he's worthy enough to wield it fully. And then Zoro, and with Enma, he's learning to try and stabilize his haki in order to keep it so that it's not constantly draining out of him. Because he says, how should I stabilize my haki? How should I stabilize my haki then? If I have to keep exuding it at this level, it'll kill me. So he's learning to stabilize his haki, and in the process, by trying to stabilize his haki, he knocks out all the beast pirates that are there around him when he gets knocked back in the building after the short skirmish from King from the outside to the inside. And he knocks out all the beast pirates with conquerors, and as he's stabilizing his haki, somehow he's unconsciously learned how to stabilize his haki enough for conquerors to start coating his swords. Just like that. Such a good chapter for him. Can't wait to see Zoro yell Tsunachi while wielding Enma. It looks like King and Queen might get defeated by the end of the year. So far, their fight has been 15 to 20 pages since 1027, and the Tobiropo fights were a little over 15. All I know is that this is a good moment for Zoro. This is a good chapter for Zoro. Zoro fanboys are eating good today because now Zoro has the ability to coat his swords in haki. And now, mind you, all this time that Zoro has been fighting against King has been pretty much resisting every attempt for Zoro to actually harm him, save for the little portion of his mask that's destroyed, but that's it. Even Zoro trying to stab his sword into him resulted in King exploding unharmed, but it was enough to force Zoro back. So King is an extremely formidable opponent, but also the perfect opponent for Zoro to have something new to cut through. Because every opponent that Zoro has faced against has been an individual that required him to up his sword game even more over time. Like his first major fight with Mihawk shown him that he has a long way to go before mastering what he knows as a swordsman. And then all the different fights he had, Mr. One, and then Ryuma. There's just so many people he's had fights with in the past, and each one was a grade above the last one in terms of him learning how to be a much better swordsman and cutting through tougher opponents each and every single time. Now he's at a point where he's facing off against an opponent that even after him training with Mihawk for 2 straight years, this opponent is still stronger than him. So this is the moment where Zoro is finally going to be able to learn how to fully use Enma to the utmost and finally take down this opponent that is pretty much stronger than anyone else he's faced since Mihawk. Because all his other opponents have been strong, but King is strong enough where Zoro has been using some of his best moves against him, and it's done nothing. So for Zoro to come out on top, he's got to fully master Enma, and seeing as how he's channeling Conquerors into his swords, although unconsciously not knowing what he's doing, this could be the edge that he actually needed. Want Sanji to get Conquerors too, he deserves it because he has enough willpower to destroy his raid suit. Willpower is one thing, but that doesn't guarantee that you're gonna have Conqueror's Haki just because you have a high sense of will. Like, if having a large amount of willpower was anything, then anyone who could resist being hit by Conqueror's Haki, who are resistant to Conqueror's Haki, would have the capacity to have it as well. I mean, Jinbei has shown that he's able to resist Conqueror's Haki from Big Mom, and even her overwhelmingly powerful and intimidating aura that would allow her soul abilities to work on him. I mean, I figured that it would just seem like that if that was the requirement necessary for a person to get Conqueror's Haki. A lot more people in the story would have it just because they have the will to do this or the will to do that. I mean, Rayleigh did say that there is a lot more people in the New World who have Conqueror's Haki compared to the people over in Paradise, on the Paradise side of the world. But at the same time, you don't want to have too many people having Conqueror's Haki. It's like Syndrome said, when everyone's super, no one will be. When everyone has Conqueror's Haki, then Conqueror's Haki is just going to be treated like a common day occurrence if too many people start to have it. Sure, it may seem nice for a lot of people to have Conqueror's Haki, or some of your favorite characters to have Conqueror's Haki, but then the uniqueness of it being among select individuals and the people who match the qualities necessary to have Conqueror's Haki, based on either their strength, their personality, or things they have done, then it would kind of make the significance of certain people a little less so if more people have it. That's just how I feel. But he has King Desires to get all the babes in the world. That's a lustful king's desire. That's a lustful king desire. But I can kind of see where you're coming from, Cohagen. King is kind of a troll for exploding like that. Do you think King might have Conquerors too? I don't know. I mean, it's possible. And he just doesn't use it because he relies on his own powers to do most of the work for him. It remains to be seen, though. We know they have armament Haki. Like both King and Queen have armament Haki. But as far as whether he has Conquerors or not, it remains to be seen. We'll just have to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he does have it, because y'all remember the color page where it shows all of the first mates of the captains in that cover page with Rayleigh and Killer and Beppo and everyone else. I feel like it wouldn't even surprise me in a little bit if King has Conquerors as well. Might be one of the qualities that allowed him to join Kaido's crew. Not just the fact that he's pretty much the last Lunarian, hailed as gods from the distant past, but maybe him having Conqueror's Haki is another quality that allowed Kaido to bring him into his crew. It must have. It must have. To be the second to a monster like Kaido, you got to have conquerors too. See, that's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if King has it. I'm not going to say he has it. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if he does has it. Does have it. Does has it. That's not good English. If he does have it, I wouldn't be surprised. If it turns out that King has conquerors, but he just doesn't use it because he just relies on his regular strength, that speaks to a high level of King's capabilities as just a straight up powerful individual. If he's just been doing everything just using his own natural strength and devil fruit powers alone and not really using conquerors, Marco doesn't have conquerors. No, but he has the qualities necessary to have it. But like I said, conquerors doesn't need to be on everyone. Because not every single person in that in the list that is the first mate of their captains, can you look like they would have conquerors? Like, imagine Beppo. He's pretty much the right-hand man of Law. But can you picture him having conquerors? At all? Does Law even have conquerors? He's a D, but does Law even have conquerors? We haven't even seen that. We know Kid has it, but does Law have it? We don't know. Like I said, conquerors doesn't need to be on every single individual. Not even D-related characters need to have it. So, I just feel like there should only be certain individuals that have Conqueror's Haki overall. The ones who are really, really significant. Not saying like people who don't have it or aren't aware if they have it at all, like Law or anyone else like that, is insignificant. But I just feel like you don't want to dilute the pool of the select individuals who have Conqueror's Haki by filling it with more people. That's just my opinion on it. All I know is that we are not going on break after this chapter. And I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know about you guys, but One Piece is getting good. It's getting really good. And I love the fact that we're focusing on the Calamity fights. Because there's pretty much no one else we really need to worry about after King and Queen get taken down. All of the Tobiropo are taken out. Everyone, maybe King's race is Sun God Nika. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Sun God Nika was in fact a Lunarian. Because there's no coincidence that Sun God Nika would be brought up during this whole arc. And then we learn of King's race is a Lunarian race, which used to be where Marie Joie now sits. So if he comes from the same place where the legend of Sun God Nika was even started, or even where Sun God Nika himself came from, I would not be surprised that that's the reason why King is as strong as he is. Because, I mean, as Queen just said in this chapter, he comes from a race of people who are seen as gods before the celestial dragons who everyone calls gods right now. So think about that for a second. King comes from a race of people who were regarded as gods before the celestial dragons themselves. The top commanders in all the Yonko crews have Conqueror's Haki. Whitebeard had Ace. Big Mom had Katakuri, Roger had Rayleigh, Luffy has Zoro, and now most likely Kaido has King. The signs are there. Just want to say that we are getting a lot of Haki stuff, but One Piece is about Devil Fruit. I really want more Devil Fruit moments. That's the thing, though. We see so many we see a whole bunch of things about Devil Fruits, but it's really the Haki aspect that has been really taking center stage in Wano right now. We've seen a lot of Devil Fruits. We find out that Kaido is actually a fish, but he's like an ascended fish. He's essentially a dragon come from a fish. He's fish fruit. And then we have all these different ancient zoantypes, ancient spiders, triceratops, pachycephalosauruses, and brachiosaurus, and pteranodons. We see all of these crazy animal-related devil fruit powers, but Haki itself has taken center stage as one of the big power-ups that a lot of people have been using during this entire arc. Sure, we had the reveal of Apu's Devil Fruit, and we learned what it's called and what it can do. We learned the name of Kid's Fruit and everything, but Haki as a whole has really been taken center stage as one thing that people have been using as their go-to to deal the utmost damage. And then we've been seeing upper levels of Haki that we've never seen before. Like, we've seen it in the past, but we just didn't have a name on it. And what in the whole Wano arc has just been expanding on the concepts of Haki as a whole. Like, Whole Cake Island was the era where we found out a whole bunch about... Actually, you know what? We saw this. We actually saw this. We saw an extension of each aspect of Haki, going from Dressrosa, then jumping to Whole Cake Island, and now in Wano. Dressrosa is where we saw what happens if you just take armament Haki to the utmost. We saw that in Gear 4th. Then we saw observation Haki, what happens if you take it up to the utmost. We saw it with Katakuri and Future Sight. Now we are here in Wano, and we see Haki taken up to the utmost with Conquerors. So we're just, over the course of these different separate arcs, we've been learning more and more about the basic aspects of Haki and what happens when you take it to their highest level. So we've seen armament in Dressrosa. We've seen observation, which was in Whole Cake Island. And now we're getting Conquerors, which is now here in Wano, expanding upon everything we've ever known about Conquerors. So I feel like once we learned these things about Haki as a whole, I figured it's time for us to go back to learning about Devil Fruits. When are we gonna get Vegapunk to explain to us what Devil Fruits are? How they are able to fundamentally change the human body to do what it can do. We need to know. Because this has been a Haki-filled arc right now. We need to go back to the basics of Devil Fruits again. Like Logias and Zoans and Paramecias. I have no doubt that Devil Fruits will have their moment to shine when Vegapunk shows up. Oh yes, most definitely. When Vegapunk explains to us a whole aspect of the lineage factor and how he was able to take DNA from Kaido and then plant it into another Devil Fruit and create a Devil Fruit of his own, though he calls it failed. It's just like, we are learning so much about Haki, but the mystery of Devil Fruits is still looming. Okay, let me see what Shonen Sensei said. I just want to say that we are getting a lot of Haki stuff, but One Piece is about Devil Fruits. I really want more Devil Fruit moments. Then Kohagen says, I wish they would be like those old Kung Fu masters that don't look like they're something, but in reality, they are monsters. We are at a point in the story where our heroes are dealing with the upper echelon of the entire verse. It only makes sense that Conquerors is going to be more prevalent and common amongst them. After the time skip, not a lot of amazing Devil Fruit moments. Not too much. We saw most of it before the time skip, and the vast majority of the power of Devil Fruits during Marineford going forward, if you think about it. We saw the uppermost point of Paramecia-type Devil Fruits and Logia-type Devil Fruits during Marineford, with the three admirals, Akainu, Aokiji then, and then Kizaru, and then Paramecia in terms of Blackbeard and Whitebeard. That's the most we've seen, but after that, we didn't see too much in terms of really big, hyped-up Devil Fruit moments, aside from the major fights that Luffy has been in. And that's it. The last big major moments where we saw what happens if you take a Devil Fruit to the utmost height of their power was when he was fighting Doflamingo, and Doflamingo had his awakened Devil Fruit and was fighting him with strings he used from turning buildings into string. And then you have Katakuri using his awakened Devil Fruit to turn the area around him into mochi that can attack Luffy. I'm not counting Big Mom because we have not seen the fullest extent of her power yet. We just got introduced to a new facet of it. Her being able to consume a part of her own soul to power herself up and then grow larger. We don't know what that's called. We just know that that's another thing she can do. By taking a full year from her life, anything less than that wouldn't be anything that can strengthen her. We're just now learning that she can do that. So I can't count Big Mom's Devil Fruit in terms of strength and where the upper echelon of it is, because we don't even know. We just learned something new recently. So we have no idea. It's crazy. We get 1034 next week, and then a break between that and 1035, which will end the volume, concluding the year with 36 chapters since 1000. I have no doubt that Devil Fruits will have their moment to shine when Vegapunk shows up. When is Vegapunk even getting his moment? That's what I'm wondering as well. But overall, this was a great chapter for Zoro. The Zoro fanboys are going to be eating good. Like I said it already, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Before I get started on My Hero Academia, my family brought food to me, so I'm actually going to eat that first before I do my new My Hero Academia chapter, and then will be the usual One Piece episode that I do for you guys. But I just want to say thank you, everyone. And I just want to say to every single individual here, I said this at the beginning, and I'll say it again. I appreciate you as individuals coming to my channel where we can discuss things like this, and I'm actually looking forward to this week's reflection stream, which will be on Tuesday, where we talk about all the chapters that we got during the month of November, about 4. So I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about that, and we can discuss One Piece a lot more than we did here. But I just want to say I appreciate every single one of you watching what I do. It really does mean the world to me, and I'm glad, and I really do hope that I'm making the content that you guys fully enjoy and that this is actually entertaining you, because if it's not, then I'm not doing my job, and I just have to try harder. So all I can say is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Is it buffering? It slowed up. It slowed up just a little bit. Let me go ahead and clear this up before things get worse. I just want to say, just to clarify, according to the data books, One Piece has 1,174 characters, 17 of which have conquerors. Doesn't seem that common. No, it's not. But I just want to say, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. I love my job.